Hey guys, and welcome back to the Black Llama Effect. I'm
Blit.
Tiffany,
And I'm Risu.
and today we're going to talk about listening to K-pop in public before it was cool.
Yes. So I'm going to start out from when I started listening to K-pop. As you guys probably heard in one of our previous videos, is that I started listening to K-pop when I was in middle school, which is early 2000s for me. Like I'd say that not a lot of people were listening, or I'm sorry, not listening, watching anime, or even knowing what K-pop was until, well, basically like today. Also, trying to find K-pop, as we also mentioned in our previous video, was pretty hard because YouTube was definitely not our best friend when it came down to it, unless we actually knew the whole entire artist's name or even the exact wording of the song. If we didn't have either one of those, we were kind of SOL. For example, my favorite singer for K-pop is Boa Kwan, and I'm probably saying her last name so messed up. Please forgive me. But it was pretty hard for me to find her on YouTube at first because putting in Boa, even with the capital B, lowercase o, capital A, it was still talking about some snakes. Like, no, I don't want no damn snake. I don't want a snake. I want Boa. I want to eat you up, honey. Not. So, yeah. So basically listening to it in middle school was pretty hard because even mentioning anime made you a weirdo. Anything that was out of the norm, even going to a DoD school, Department of Defense, because, well, DoD schools are basically for military families, children who are
Living on base.
certain base areas or whatnot. If there's a DoD school nearby and you stay on base within the jurisdiction of that school district, your child is to go to that school. And that's exactly what me and Tavia had to go to.
Yep. And so while we were already being picked on for very many things because we were in middle school, but watching anime was one thing. I did not get into K-pop then in school. I got into it more in high school. While Risu was listening to it, I didn't go through Reese's playlist like that. But I didn't really get into it until high school. Like I said, I had a friend who went back to Korea and came back with a bunch of music. And by that time, I had really found my tribe per se in high school. So she was introducing it to us, it was a group of girls who were like really into pretty much anything we could find, and it went well. But now that I look back on it, I realized it was our circle geeking out about it while the rest of the classroom was just like, what's going on over there? And I was just completely oblivious to it because I was just like, oh my God, this is cool.
You're usually ignoring the rest of the world when you're really enjoying yourself. And that's actually the best thing about K-pop that really granted us that type of ignorance. While we knew that we were getting bullied, we really kind of checked out of the world at that point, just listening to it. And that's what brings us to this conversation today. Because even though we knew that we were getting judged for listening to K-pop, and we were very much aware of how we were being viewed at one point in time of the conversation that we were having amongst our friends or people who even knew about K-pop, we didn't realize that until after we were done.
Yeah.
So on to the next part of the conversation. We are going to cover about what?
K-pop into it within Black families. And when we talk about Black families, we don't necessarily mean our immediate family. It's more of extended family.
Well, I mean, like immediate and extended. So with my family, my stepfather who was military service member. I'm not going to go into details about what branch of service he was in. So basically, he went to Japan and whatnot, and he, being there for X many amount of years, he was able to be exposed to all of that. But by me being his child and me having that type of exposure from the things that I watched, he thought it was odd and weird and extremely not normal. And I definitely got the side eye a lot, especially in my choices of music, because apparently it was frowned upon. It was basically frowned upon when it came down to my family, because it was just like, that's not Black music. But at the same time, it was like, what are you doing listening to another culture's music when you don't even listen to the artists that are of the same skin color as you as much as you do them? I hear English every single day. I mean, like, whatever language they're speaking, I want to hear it because it sounds a whole lot more interesting. It sounds mysterious and educational by somebody basically talking about gunshot this and nigga that. Yeah. Which I hear every time I go home to Detroit. Speak about my cousins.
I had a different experience because my parents are weebs. So like my parents are definitely the people who go to conventions. My parents are like waiting for their best cosplay moments. Like they are very much into these things. So when I got into it, it was just like a natural progression, and they were like, oh, and who was that? And like even to this day, like my mom would be like, whose song was that? What's their name again? And so I had a different experience in my home life. So I was able to explore that, and also got the Black music, education that comes standard. But with my extended family, it wasn't necessarily in reference to K-pop. It was in reference to pretty much everything I did. I was just the white girl, no matter what I did. And it was like, hey, look at this. And they were like, even the way you said that was white. And I'm like,
They're like, oh, so we're over here listening to Oreo cookie music.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was. And like, like anybody's family, they're loving and they're caring, but there are certain things you just like, well, I won't share that with you anymore. So that's how I felt. Now that K-pop is more popular, and so like those family members, their kids are getting into it and stuff like that. Like I am just like that big cousin who gets to be like a dorky with them and like pass the torch. Like they're just like, oh, like it wasn't weird. You were just ahead of the curve. And I was like, I was trying to tell you. So like my relationship with my family is different when it comes to K-pop, but don't get me wrong, I'm still very much Oreo in their eyes.
So also besides that, listening to K-pop or even J-pop in public or just in the Black community period is pretty interesting all on its own. So my past stay in Detroit, Michigan, that was for about like 3 or 4 years while my parents got the opportunity to go to Japan. Don't get me wrong, trust and believe, the opportunity definitely was extended to me, but because of personal reasons and because I wanted to try to, go on my own, I decided to stay behind and try to be an adult and finding my own way of way to live.
Try.
Yes, try. Trust and believe. If you are young and your parents are like giving you the choice to stay, as much as you want to leave, please stay. Please stay. Bruh, take this opportunity to ask them questions about things that you're just not too sure about. Yes, I know, I understand that you don't want to clean the dishes, you're tired of your name being called, but please trust and believe you are definitely going to reconsider as soon as you realize that they are not going to help you pay your fucking bills. They are not. They're going to just be like, well, you wanted your own place. Well, groceries are not cheap.
Bruh, let's not even get on that topic because we'll be here forever.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sorry. Let me get back on topic. So basically, listening to basically any genre from the other part of the world.
Right, just basically anything that wasn't made by predominantly Black artists.
Yeah, if you're Black, listening to something that has not a lick of Black artist in it, even if the Black artist is featured and majority of the song is in the other language, they're looking at you like, what the fuck is that? The only thing that they recognize is the English part, and therefore they're just looking at you like, what the hell are you listening to? No, I'm not generally interested in the song. I'm wondering why in the world you, as a Black woman, are listening to something that's not in English language, and what is wrong with your brain?
Not to mention the fact that, like, a lot of K-pop, because I listen to a lot of like Girl Generation, which requires you to be like extra cutesy, and so like I'm like walking around going G G G G baby baby baby, like, and people are like, what is wrong with that woman over there?
Bruh, don't even get me started on Caramel dancing.
Do y'all remember the video that went viral, and it was the guy like singing K-pop in public, and he was like in an elevator or something, and one of the words that he was saying in Korean sounded a lot like the N-word, and so like he almost got like beat up in the mall. It was a viral video. It was hilarious, and I so related to it because while it wasn't that particular situation, I have definitely been like gotten a song stuck in my head and been walking down the street and like tried to imitate Korean, and then someone thinks I'm schizophrenic and like talk to myself.
Yo, that is so true. Because I thought about it, I was like, maybe that's why I've been getting those weird ass looks walking down Dexter, and everybody's just like, what the fuck is wrong with that chick?
So I kind of like, I shied away from like doing it in public. Not that I was ashamed that I did K-pop. Like, I love K-pop and K-drama and like all that stuff. But it was just kind of like not
the pressure of trying to be considered normal.
Yeah, so it was like, it wasn't the norm. Like, I wouldn't, like, as much as I was like, oh, this mood could use some shiny. Like, I wouldn't like play it at parties and do things of that sort. It was more kind of something I did by myself. And then when I met somebody else who was also interested, I just geeked out with them. Like, so like, while I don't have very many negative experiences with enjoying my K-pop in public, that is very much because I use the defense mechanism of kind of like keeping it to myself.
Yeah. So, also, whilst I used to walk down the street, whether it be basically what you would call in the hood or midtown or even downtown, where you would have more integrated, diverse walks of life, I was still getting the side eye of what the hell is that she's listening to. Even when I had my headphones in, I still felt the side eyes, because you can't help when you're listening to K-pop, you're just like ready to break out and dance, whether you can have rhythm or not.
Especially if you
gotta dance.
If you learn something, like, you have to do it every time you hear it.
Yeah, I just punched myself in the mouth. We're gonna ignore that.
Y'all, I think we've made ourselves clear. Let's go ahead and end this video before Risu gives herself a black eye.
Yes. or punches out one of her teeth, because that would be devastating.
Are you good? Did you recover from the hit? Like,
yeah, I'll probably feel that when I wake up in the morning.
Wow, that's beautiful. You're gonna have to text me about that one.
Yes, I will definitely be sending you a picture if I end up with a swollen lip.
But let us know in the comments what, if you were a K-pop fan previously, or even if you're a K-pop fan now, what your experience has been listening to K-pop in public and around people you were close to who don't necessarily listen to it. We would love to hear what your experience is, and also join our mission to take over the world using K-pop.
Yes, so if you haven't already subscribed to Black Mama Effect, please do so now. We love you guys so much, and make sure that you hit that notification bell as well to make sure that you see all of our new and upcoming videos. We love you guys so much.
Bye.